In 1998, Gauntlet returned to the arcades with a new, ambitious modern look as Gauntlet Legends. A couple years later, this game would get expanded upon with new characters and levels, and for some, this would be considered the best Gauntlet game to date. Welcome back, warriors and wizards, to another episode of Arcade Economy, the series where we take a look at old arcade classics to determine how much they cost to beat and how fair they were to your wallet. Last time on Arcade Economy, we took a look at the 1989 Capcom platformer Willow. Today, we're collecting all 13 runestones as we take on Garm in Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Was Gauntlet Dark Legacy a worthy investment, or did this game's grind lead to a dungeon of debt? As always, we're going to find out.
Gauntlet Dark Legacy.
Now, in these videos, I usually like to start off by taking a look at the development history and release of the game in question, and while the main focus of this video will be on Gauntlet Dark Legacy was an expansion of Gauntlet Legends, so we're going to take a look at how both of these games came to be. By the late 90s, the arcade industry was in a bit of an identity crisis. The home console market had exploded in recent years, and kids and teens were opting to play at home rather than make their way to the arcade. To survive, arcades needed to evolve, and not just with better graphics, they needed a reason for you to come back tomorrow. The Gauntlet franchise had been dormant for about 5 years, and hadn't seen an arcade release for more than a decade. The team at Atari Games, soon to be Midway Games West, held the keys to the Gauntlet franchise. The task of bringing the dungeon crawler into the 3D era fell to a new team led by producer Mike Halley. To match the consoles, Halley's team began building what would be Gauntlet Legends on the Midway Vegas hardware. This was a beast of a board powered by the 3DFX Voodoo graphics chipset, the same tech that was revolutionizing PC gaming. This allowed the team to ditch the flat 2D sprites of the 80s for fully 3D rendered dungeons, hordes of polygon monsters, and dynamic lighting. But the real innovation would come from the game's password system. Sure, both arcades and console games had been using password systems for years, but now, by entering your initials in a PIN, the machine would save your character levels and statistics, giving players the ability to play their own save file on the machine and come back to beef up their characters later.
Blue Sorceress is now a level 10 witch.
Something that really hadn't been seen in the arcade before. And in 1998, Gauntlet Legends released in the arcade to much success. So much so that Halley and his team doubled down, and in the year 2000, Midway released the definitive version of the game, Gauntlet Dark Legacy. The team added entirely new realms to explore, new characters and classes, and refined the quality of gameplay mechanics. Both Legends and Dark Legacy would make their way to home consoles, with Legends being ported to the N64, PlayStation, and Dreamcast. The Dreamcast version is seen as being the definitive version of Legends, not only for its enhanced graphics, but also because it saw some of Dark Legacy's features make its way onto the port too. Dark Legacy would be ported to the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, and it is still regarded as one of the best party games for the time and maybe even the best Gauntlet. At least, I know it's my favorite. What Gauntlet Legends and Dark Legacy did with its save states was really revolutionary for the arcade scene. However, it came at a time that, no matter what type of innovation was coming out in the arcade, the writing was already on the wall and the arcades would start to disappear. They just couldn't compete with the home console market, and had something like this come out in the 80s or 90s, there is no doubt in my mind that it would have been one of the biggest arcade games ever made. The story of Dark Legacy is a classic tale of sibling rivalry gone wrong. It gets expanded upon in the home console's manual. In the beginning, there was the good wizard Sumner, the deep voice narrator who will be yelling in your ear for the next few hours.
You have defeated the horrifying Lich and recovered his key.
And his jealous, power-hungry brother, Garm. He's probably mad because his name is Garm. Garm unleashed an unspeakable evil upon the world when he collected 12 of the sacred runestones to summon the dark demon Skorne. Without the 13th runestone to control him, Skorne broke free of Garm's power and imprisoned him in the underworld. Skorne then unleashed his minions and scattered the runestones across 8 different realms so they would not be used against him. The good wizard Sumner summons you, the heroes, to clean up his brother's mess. Your job is simple but expensive. You must travel to 8 different realms, defeat Skorne's forces, and gather the runestones to put an end to the demon's tyranny once and for all. Now, I played this game across a few different sessions with the other half of Mastery Play Scott, so we only really have 2-player data. I do think if you played this game with a full party, it probably is a lot more fun, and if you play it by yourself, it's probably not really that much fun at all. This is a game that thrives on the more the merrier. The larger your party is, the more fun you're going to have, and I believe it'll probably get a little bit easier too. The game opens up with each player entering in their initials and a pin to create a new profile or load a previous one. After that, you'll be able to select your character. I do feel like the timer is a little short here because we ran out of time when trying to compare character stats and the game chose for us.
Do I pick the big titty sorceress?
She looks like a golden girl.
Armor and strength. Nope, I'm the dwarf. All right.
Oh, I'm a big titty lady. Can I change that?
We'd have to start over.
Ah, fuck it, I'm the big titty sorceress.
This is a dedicated 4-player machine with 4 different stations: yellow, blue, red, and green. Your color will be locked to your joystick. For example, if you put a quarter in the far left slot, you are the yellow hero. Each color has a different skin or aesthetic for each hero to keep things feeling unique. And speaking of heroes, the game offers 8 starting classes. The warrior and the dwarf have high strength and low magic. The wizard and the sorceress have high magic with low armor. The Valkyrie and the Knight have good armor with a decent fight, and the Archer and the Jester have the fastest movement and quickest shot speed. The game keeps the classic Gauntlet feel, with hordes of enemies spawning from generators placed throughout each level. As you play through the levels and kill enemies, you'll earn experience points and level up. Once you hit level 10, each class unlocks a secret character called the Alter Ego. For example, the dwarf unlocks the ogre, and the sorceress unlocks Medusa, just to name a few. It's a brilliant visual hook that lets everyone in the arcade know you've invested serious money into this character. As you continue to level up each character, you will gain even more unique abilities and skins at milestone levels like level 25 and level 50. It's also a progression system that feels way before its time and is more in line with MMOs today than it was back then. The cabinet uses a joystick with a 3-button layout: magic, fight, and turbo. If an enemy is next to you, the fight button can be used for melee damage. If they are far away, you'll throw a projectile. As you fight, you'll see a turbo meter that fills up. Pressing the turbo button gives you a burst of speed to escape a mob. But if you press turbo and fight together, you'll unleash a screen-clearing super move that increases in strength depending on how full it is. Holding turbo will also do a standard block ability that will reduce the amount of damage done from an enemy attack. And then finally the magic button, which if you've ever played a Gauntlet before, you will be familiar with. Magic potions are scattered throughout each level. Like previous Gauntlet games, they can be shot and used as bombs, or held onto for a powerful attack later.
There's a potion. Nope, there was a potion.
You shot the potion.
Also, like previous entries, magic is the only thing that can kill death, who will pop up randomly throughout each level. With a potion in your inventory, holding magic and turbo will create a magic shield that blocks incoming attacks. There are a ton of different pickups throughout each level, and they include food for health, keys for opening new paths, secret paths, and to open chests, gold and treasure, and temporary ability upgrades like Fire Breath, a Phoenix Familiar, Triple Shot, and Metallic Armor, just to name a few. In between levels, you'll visit the shop to spend your gold on stat increases, keys, and ability upgrades. Now, a month before the release of this video, I played through 100 levels of the original Gauntlet for this show. One of my main gripes with the original Gauntlet was that the pickups felt very few and far between. You kind of have to get used to the maps and used to their locations to know where they are, and that only comes with being able to play it more times or watching someone else play it. That doesn't appear to be the case for Dark Legacy. The pickups are here and they are aplenty. And to me, this just felt like a much more rewarding experience while playing. In true Gauntlet fashion, your health will slowly decrease with each second. However, because there are so many pickups throughout each level, it didn't feel like as much as a pain as it did in the original game. The game consists of 9 different elemental realms. They are broken up by difficulty, and the last realm is only accessible after beating the first 8. I highly recommend that you do the realms in difficulty order, because if you decide to play a hard realm first, you'll likely use way more quarters since your hero won't have the necessary stat increases to endure these levels. And then you'll kind of just be quarter feeding your way through. The easy realms include Sky and Mountain. The medium difficulty realms include Province, Castle, and Forest. Hard difficulty realms include Ice, Desert, and Dream. And the final deadly realm is Skorne. In order to beat the game, you'll need to find all 13 runestones. 12 of them are scattered across and hidden in secret areas within the first 8 realms. You'll need those 12 to defeat the boss Skorne in the first half of the Skorne realm.
I see you have found all 12 missing runestones. Well done.
After this, the 13th runestone can be found on the battlefield of Garm, and you'll need to get this to beat Garm once and for all. If you miss a runestone on your journey, you'll have to play that entire realm over again. And considering some realms take over an hour to beat, this can get real old real fast. And while most of the runestones are easy to find, there are a handful that are near impossible. For example, the 13th runestone is hidden behind a breakable wall, which doesn't look suspicious at all. And even after you break the wall, there's a lever that you needed to pull way back in the beginning of the level. So when Scott and I played this, we found the runestone, but couldn't figure out for the life of us how to get it, and we spent a ton of time exploring the entire level over again before we eventually just consulted with an online guide to figure it out.
The final runestone in the Battlefield Towers level of Gauntlet Dark Legacy arcade version is located behind a fence and requires a multi-step sequence to access. Find the hidden wall. All right, we did that. Earlier in the level, there is a cage containing an enemy and a lever. Break it open and reveal a hole in the ground. Activate the secret button. To the left of this hole, there is a strange rock formation. Smash the rock to reveal a hidden floor button. Return and pull the lever. Activating the button, you must return to the initial cage area, pull the lever inside, and make your way back to the location of the fence with the runestone. Successfully completing the sequence will lower the gate.
But put yourself back in the shoes of someone in the arcades in the year 2000. We didn't have these phones in our pockets to look these up. So if you were stuck and couldn't find a runestone, unless someone else in the arcade knew where it was that you were playing with or who was watching that you could ask, you had to really explore every nook and cranny of the level. And if you didn't find it then, you'd have to go back home to then log on to dial-up internet to figure it out and then go back to the arcade. So yeah, kind of a pain in the ass. And each individual level includes at least one specialty item, which can be the runestone, a secret treasure area, or a special weapon to help you kill that realm's boss. And speaking of bosses, Gauntlet Dark Legacy has plenty of them. However, as much as I do enjoy this game, I do feel like these were some of the most underwhelming boss fights I've ever played. Most of your boss battles will go like this. Try to block the boss's incoming attacks, fail to block them because the blocking mechanic isn't great, wind up spamming projectiles at the boss and quarter feeding your way through until the boss is dead. Boss's attacks just feel like they are impossible to defend or dodge, and really it just becomes this attack spammy, insert more coins until you finish kind of fight. So there's really no strategy that I found when fighting against most of these bosses. When Scott and I played, our strategy was basically to go on opposite sides of the level so the boss would focus one of us and try to stay alive while the other person just spammed projectiles. With that being said, the bosses include Plague Fiend, Dragon, Lich, Chimera, Spider Queen, Yeti, Wraith, Genie, Skorne, Skorne again, and then finally Garm. And after beating the game, we are treated to one of the best arcade endings in my opinion. Our heroes celebrating together at a pool party.
There's my big tits!
And you'll also be able to mail away for an I Crushed Garm t-shirt to wear with pride. Sadly, this contest ended over 2.5 decades ago.
Contest ends December 31st, 2000.
We're only 26 years late.
Damn, maybe save the password and we're gonna call.
And now it's time to determine how much we spent on Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Now this is a very long game, and it's made to save and load as you progress over time. I'm assuming that most people who have beaten this game did not do it in one sitting, and I'm also assuming that there's probably a few of you out there who are watching that have done it in one sitting, so if you have, please sound off in the comments because I'd love to hear about your experience. Now, we played this game over the course of 5 sessions with 25-cent credits. However, in the year 2000, 50-cent credits were absolutely the default, and I'm sure that there are some arcades that charged even more for this game. So we're going to take a look at the 50-cent data. And at the end of our playthrough, I had spent a total of $57 or 114 credits, and Scott spent $61.50 or 123 credits. Now, averaging our totals out, that would come out to $59.25, and adjusting for inflation, $59.25 in 2000 would feel like spending $111.78 today. It took us 7 hours and 58 minutes to beat the game, which brings our cost per minute to just 12 cents per minute. And that's right in line with a lot of other 25-cent games we've played in the past, but just keep in mind that this is a 50-cent game we're looking at here. For the bosses, I spent $1 or 2 credits on Plague Fiend, $1.50 or 3 credits on Dragon, $2 or 4 credits on Lich, $1.50 or 3 credits on the Chimera, 50 cents or 1 credit on the Spider Queen, $4 or 8 credits on the Yeti, $2 or 4 credits on the Wraith, $2.50 or 5 credits on the Genie, $3 or 6 credits on Skorne, $4 or 8 credits on Skorne the second time, and $3.50 or 7 credits on Gauntlet, bringing my boss total to $25.50, just a little bit under half of our total. And now it's time to bring out the old predatory game scale to determine just how predatory Gauntlet Dark Legacy was in stealing your money. Overall spend was really high, but that's to be expected considering that this game is close to 8 hours long. When looking at cost per minute, it was right around average, but considering this was a 50-cent game, it's actually pretty low. For AI cheating, there is no input reading that I noticed, and actually the AI is pretty dumb. It's really easy to defeat enemies or generators across the divide and then go kind of explore that area later. However, there is no doubt in my mind that this game has unavoidable damage. Your character just moves way too slow, and that's even if you are consistently increasing your speed. And when it comes to the boss fights, it's just really hard to keep dodging, and blocking is something that's really hard to pull off consistently. There's really no learning curve for this game. It is something that is pretty intuitive. You can kind of just pick up and play it. However, in true Gauntlet fashion, your health does constantly decrease. And that is something that I'm not really a fan of because of all the pickups that are in the game and because of all the food that is scattered across each level. I do think that this is much more manageable here than it was in previous Gauntlet games. But this game really shines in its scavenger hunt feel, and it makes it really charming, and it's just a blast to play with a full party or even with just a friend. So when we ask, is this game predatory? Does it have any predatory practices? I'm going to quickly mention the definition of a predatory loan, which is described as an unfair, deceptive, or abusive loan designed to benefit the lender, Midway or the arcade, at the expense of the borrower, the player, often trapping them in a cycle of debt. So is this game unfair? Yes, at times it certainly can be. Is it deceptive? I don't really think so. What you see is what you get. If anything, there's a surprise in the game in that it lets you save your progress, so it's actually kind of an investment. Is it abusive? I guess that depends on how much fun you're having with the game, and if you're really not enjoying it, then sure, it could be. But if you are having fun and you're coming back to it, then I don't really think it is. Is it designed to benefit the arcade at the expense of the player? Well, yeah, every arcade game does that to some point. And does it keep you in a cycle of endless debt? I mean, it could if you're constantly coming back to increase your stats and increase and level up your players. But there's a certain pride in doing that, and a certain, again, investment is the word I'm going to use here, in coming back and maxing out all of the characters in the game. I think it's an ingenious idea by Midway. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's a very unique arcade game. But still, some of these practices do bump it up. So with that being said, I'm going to give Gauntlet Dark Legacy an 8 out of 10 on the predatory game scale.
Check out our t-shirt.
Do you guys agree with my rating? Should it be higher, lower? Sound off in the comments below and I will do my best to reply. You can check out our full recorded stream of this video over on our channel Mass Replay. Or, if you'd like to just check out our highlight reel, please head to our gameplay channel, Mass Gameplay, for some of the best moments.
Sky Dominion.
So Sky Dominion is where we're starting.
I think that's my fucking stripper name.
Next time on Arcade Economy, we're playing through the classic Williams run and gun, Narc, so be sure to check back for that video. If you would like to support Mass Replay, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member or a patron on Patreon. At the VIP viewer level, you'll get all of my videos early and ad-free, and you can also support us at the producer level to get your name shouted out at the end of each video, just like Jake Weed, Tanner Trezza, and Pezmage. But just you watching is a huge support, so thank you so much. As always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and hopefully you'll see me on my next video. Thanks for watching.
Congratulations! Your name will be recorded in the Hall of Legends for all to see.